Hello and welcome to my garage. Today I'd like to start off with a big thank you, which is to all my subscribers. As of last weekend there were 4,000 of you, so for me that was a really big milestone and fantastic news. So thank you to all that have subscribed to my channel, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It's absolutely free and you get to stay up to date with all the latest videos. I'd also like to thank all those that have joined the channel as members. I think last time I looked, there were around about 30 of you, and you know, your help is invaluable to me in the racing, and it's a good way, I hope, of getting a little bit more out of the channel, because as a member you can sort of exchange emails with me and photos, so we can sort of chat over MGB issues that you may have. Now for 4,000 subscribers I thought I'd better do something well, a big video I suppose, not a huge video, but one that I've been meaning to do, which is refitting the screen to an MGB. If you follow the channel, you notice I did one, I think, two or 3 years ago now, that covered removing the screen, but unfortunately the footage I took when I was putting the screen back into the car was lost. So I thought for today I would reshoot that video just showing how to put the screen back into the car. So let's take a look at the car now and get started. I think the single biggest tip I could give you for successfully removing and replacing a screen in these cars is to remove the metal cover that goes over the sort of the frame leg where it goes back into the body. It's also worth checking at this time the orientation of the spaces and the number of sort of spaces in these little fabric almost like a gasket as well, a little sort of fibre gasket. You'd want to put those back in the same order, and also if your frame doesn't feel tight, then you might need to add a gasket in order to make it fit snugly. You can also see here that the spacer doesn't exactly line up with the leg of the screen. So what I tend to, I'll just put a little bit of black marker pen down there, so that I know where that spacer should sit to the frame leg. Also, before we start, it's worth removing the glove box, the sort of glove box liner from the car. In my car that's not there anyway. It does help an awful lot with access. And then on the other side of the car you can see I've taken out the rev counter and what would usually be the fuel gauge. That just gives us better access to those bolts behind. I'm not going to cover removing the screen because that's all in this video that I'm going to just put in a link now, and so you'll join me again when I'm putting the screen back into the car. So here is our screen out of the car. Luckily it sort of came out fairly easy. It probably took me around 20 minutes to get it out. That was with the glove box obviously not in the car, and then a couple of gauges removed before I started. Now before we sort of put this back into the car, there's a few little jobs I like to do, one of which is just to sort of make sure the threads in the frame here are nice and clean, so that we can do so we can get the bolts in here without too much effort. I've got a little bit of the aluminium anti-seize on the bolt already, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that in loosely. I just like to make sure all these threads run really easily. It's just got a little bit tight there, so I'm just gonna use very carefully with a ratchet, just turn that to make sure it's nice and free. Obviously be very careful with these threads, they are only aluminium, and so that's why we've got these coarse bolts, but it doesn't take an awful lot to shear them, or to strip the thread on the aluminium. Obviously you can replace it with the helicoil if that happens, but you know, it's better not to do it in the first place. So let me just I'm going to take this bolt back out again. I've already been round and done the other four, so you can see that sort of removes nice and easily by hand now, so that shouldn't be a problem to get started once it's back in the car. Another thing to check is these rubber seals. In my car these have started to sort of perish a bit, so I'm going to swap these over. These just lift out. I think you can see that's just started to split a little bit, so we'll pop our replacement in. This is one seal that's very easy to change. Obviously the bottom seal here is a lot harder. Let me just turn that around a bit. This seal is fine now, so I'm going to reuse that rather than going to the trouble of putting another one on there. And that little end seal is just sat in properly. I'll do the same on the other side. Another thread I like to check is the one in the middle of the screen. I'll go around this side to do it. So we've got these two little bolts that go through the top there. I'm just going to put this in. Just like to make sure they move nice and freely. It doesn't tend to get very wet up here, so that does feel nice. And then I'll just do the same. I'll do the same with the other one. So just to make sure you can do these up with your fingers when you're back in the car. So the other thing you'll be able to notice that both the windscreen wipers are off. Good opportunity now if you want to give this area a bit of a clean up. This is the sort of the top part of the dash in vinyl. Probably as good a time as any if you want to replace it, but really you've got to take the dash out as well to do it. So just moving round down here, I'm hoping the spacer hasn't really moved. That's what stayed in place, and now you can just see, hope you just see that black line from the pen. That's what I'll be aiming for when I put the screen back in. I've got exactly the same on the other side. So we're all ready to go with putting the screen back in. I'm just going to go along. This is just sort of normal screen wash in a bottle. I use this as a kind of lubricant for the rubber, so I'm just going to give that a good spray along there. And the idea with this is it just gives us a bit of something slippy, so when the rubber comes down here against the body, we can pull it out a little bit easier. So that's that. Now I'm going to carefully try and just drop the screen in. Let's see what happens. The job that's easier if there's two of you, but let me see. Hopefully I'm not going to drop it here and smash it up, because that would be a bit of a shame for this video. So that's one side in there. So some tease both the legs in if I can. So that's both the legs in. And as I've got these roll legs, it does make my life a little bit easier. So that just sort of pushes down now, and you can see, hopefully you can just see that the rubber seal is pushed out slightly, which is ideal. That screen wash is doing what it needs to do. So I'll try and get this side in as well. So there we go. And then I've just got this little hook tool here, just to sort of pull this seal out as it sort of drops in. Hopefully it'll stay in place. It does have a very bad habit of coiling up on its own, which I'm sure if you've ever done this job before you'll be well aware of. But that has stuck in very well. I'm quite happy with that. Yeah. So we're inside the car now, and what I'd like to try and do is just, if I can, is get these two middle bolts in position and just started. I know some people have said in the past that they can't get these in with the screen in place. I don't know if it sort of varies year to year or depending what screen you have, but usually in this car I can just get these in and just get them going. So hopefully you'll be able to see. I know my fingers are probably going to be in the way a bit, but you should get the idea of what I'm doing here. So that's, from what I can tell, yeah, both of those have started. So I'm gonna just pull these down a bit if I can, just with my fingers. If I just go out here, I just want to check. Yeah, it looks like the seal stayed in place. So I'm very sorry if my fingers are going to be right in the way, but hopefully you'll be able to tell. All I'm doing is pushing down the screen and just turning these little bolts to get them a good way in, just to hold this seal in place. I don't want it to pop up whilst I'm working on the edges. So let's have a little look inside the car now. You can see here the leg has got a little bit of a way to come down. I'm probably going to have to do this part with two hands. You can see the sort of black line there. I've got a bit of a distance to go. This is on the passenger side, or the left-hand side. We're in the UK, obviously, with this car. And then looking around at the other side, this is the driver's side, or the right-hand side. You can just see again here, we're not a million miles away, but I can see I'm going to need two hands to sort of pull this into place. So I'm going to have to do this and put the camera down in order to film. So hopefully I've got another camera inside the car now, and I'm just going to see if I can. I don't know if it's going to show you what I'm doing. So I've got hopefully, I don't know if it's going to show anything or not, but you can see I've got the bolts are in the hole, but it's at an odd angle, so I definitely don't want to start tightening that up yet. So let me just see if I can get that to locate a bit better in the lower hole. I can see it. It all looks very close, but it's just, I just want to make absolutely certain that these screws are in the right place before we tighten anything. So I'm going to wedge that in now. I might see if I can get the top one in instead. So I've got the top bolt there. I'm going to try and pop this in if I can. So I've just got a little socket extension here, and I'm just going to try. It does feel as though that one may have started. The unfortunate thing might be, I don't know what the footage is going to be like because I'm in the way of most of the shots, I think. So I think that's definitely, yeah, that top one has definitely gone in. I'm just doing it up with my fingers. Certainly feels like it's gone in. I think if you do feel it gets stiff at all, then definitely stop, because you do not want to cross thread these screws. Now I can't see. No, that has gone in fine. So let me just do that in a bit more. And then I'm going to try, let's see if I can show you. So that top screw is in, and I've just got the lower one here. So that's the bar, little sort of, I'll be able to show you. That's the little sort of punch that I'm using. Again, I'm probably ruining the shot with my hand. So there's the punch in the hole, and I can just use that to manipulate it. And then the other thing I can do is just at the top here, because I've got this roll cage, I can just put a few packers in here, and that will just allow me to sort of flex that lower leg forward with and pack in there. And just to show you briefly, that's the packers in the top. I know from memory it's about a 2-finger gap I need at the top of the screen there. Just going to try and, just in case the footage from the little camera didn't come out, just to show you. Oh, it's so dark. Unfortunately, inside the car there, you can just see the punch that I've got in the lower hole, just there, and that's just sort of it feels like it's in about the right place. So we'll try and get that. We'll try and get the lower screw started now. Right, so let's see how that feels. It does feel like we're pretty well lined up. So I've got the lower bolt here, and again I'm probably going to be right slap bang in the way of the camera, but I just like to see if I can get that started. It doesn't feel too far off, but I don't know if it's quite right or not. Doesn't look quite straight. That's got it, I think. So again, just really carefully with the socket at this stage. We don't want to put too much pressure on anything. But it feels like that's definitely started. So let me just show you if I can. So that's the second screw. You can hopefully see that's in its hole. The other screw is in its hole. So I'm going to work round to the other side now. I don't want to do this up too tight just yet. So we're using the same technique again on the driver's side. You can hopefully see we aren't a long way off. So I'm going to see if I can get this centre punch through that top hole, the same as did the other side, and then get the lower screw started. So again, I don't know what footage I'm going to capture. So if I try resting the camera there, and we'll see what we can get. So let's start off. I mean, that has gone down. I might even just see if I can get a screw straight into that, because that's pulled down. That has pulled down quite nicely. So let's see. Not quite, I don't think. So let me. So I'm just going to get the punch. Just pull that hole into position. It sort of looks. It really doesn't look far off. I'm slightly surprised at the. Oops. I'm surprised this bolt didn't just start. So let me just try one more time. That's better. I think we've got it. We've got it now, so let me just show you if I can. So that's the lower bolt, which is probably the easy one. That's just started. Again, just fingers until we know that we are in the right place. And then for the upper bolt, I'm going to try to do this through the rev counter. Again, I really would like to try and show as much as I can, but I think with these. With the working area I've got, it's not the easiest. So apologies, I'm going to have my face right in front of what you're trying to see. That doesn't look a million miles off. So let me just see if I can do this a little bit of a pull up. It does feel as though the bolt, yes, it does looks like both of those have started. I've got our screen back in and sort of bolted up loosely on both sides. So we'll have a quick look at the alignment. I think on this side we've got a bit more of a gap than I'd like, so we'll try and adjust that in a bit. We've still got our two screws in the middle to do up, so I'll get on with those I think next. Moving around to the driver's side. Again, the alignment isn't great, but that is generally about as good as I get on this side. You can see possibly there that the door is one that was reskinned, and it's never sort of sat quite the way I'd like. So that's probably about where it needs to be. But I think what I'll do next is get the two middle bolts done up, and then we can see where we are. So let's get these middle two bolts done up. As it stands, the screen is it's not too tight, so there's a little bit of flex in it still. So let's get these pulled down so that we know they're tight, and then we can look at getting the edges done. So let me just see what I can do with my fingers first. I don't think it'll be a huge amount. Unfortunately, access here isn't particularly good, and it's just a bit of a long job to pull these down. So I'll pause for a minute on the camera and then come back to you. That's now these middle two done. I don't have a torque for this, but again they're quite a small little bolt, so I wouldn't sort of pull them up too much. Just the sort of the end of the spanner there should be more than enough to hold those in firmly. Now with those middle two done up, we go around and check the alignment again. So this is still just a little bit out. I might just see if that will push a tiny bit. I'm not sort of too worried about that. That's probably going to be close enough for what I need there. That's on the left hand side, and then you can see that the rubber seal is sort of sat in quite nicely. I will say it is an awful lot easier reusing the original seal rather than putting a new one on. I do tend to curl up quite badly. It is easier with that one there. There's no need to change that. I don't think it was in very nice condition. Let's just try driver's door. So I would say generally not too bad. I mean, that does always sit off a little bit there, but I don't think there's any reason now I couldn't just go around and tighten these, tighten the four bolts to hold the screen in, tighten them up now. So we're back inside the car. Again, it's not the easiest to show you, but there's the, hopefully that's not the bolt there. It's almost impossible to show, but one of the bolts is the one there. Then the other one's sort of tucked right up here. So I'll put the camera down. I'm just going to give these a pinch up now. That's just about got on that lower bolt. Now again with these, not too tight. I would just sort of snug them up. It's going into aluminium and they're very easy to over tighten. I think that'll do us for that one. I'll just double check that alignment. That seems absolutely fine. So we'll do the one at the top here. That's probably just enough to snug it up. And then just back round to the driver's side. Just check the alignment. Just put some packaging above there before I do these, do the screws. I do the bolts up just so that it's in line. I mean, that's generally about as good as I get on the driver's side of this car. So if I can pull that top one up first of all. Sorry if my head's right in your way. Unfortunately, trying to do this and show you what I'm doing is proving a bit difficult. So that's the top one. I think that'll do. So for the lower one. I think that's enough. I just don't want to risk over tightening those. There we are. So that's the screen back into the car now. I'm very pleased actually with how easy that's gone. It's probably about the easiest time I've had changing the screw in this car. Usually it's a lot worse than that. So many thanks to all those who have subscribed to my channel already. As we said earlier, this video is for you, all 4,000 of you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and also consider joining the channel as one of the members to get a bit more sort of information and to be able to talk to me directly about any issues you may have. We'll be racing next on the 18th of April. That's at Snetterton with the Keep Libra, so hopefully you'll join me in car for that video. But that's all from the garage today, and hopefully I'll see you all again soon. Many thanks. Bye.